Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating ancient story. It's all about a message that traveled all the way from the heavens, specifically to answer a question that was causing a whole lot of anxiety back here on Earth.
So, picture this. The Buddha is deep in meditation. He's contemplating the fate of his followers who've passed away. And then, out of nowhere, this voice, a voice that is definitely not human, breaks the silence. It introduces itself with this mysterious name, Janavasabha.
Now, this isn't just any spirit. Turns out it's the ghost of the great king Bimbisara himself. You know, the famous righteous king, one of the Buddha's biggest supporters? And he's not just dropping by to say hello. Nope. He's got an urgent report, straight from another realm.
Okay, so let's get into what he has to say. Janavasabha, the king who's now a spirit, starts describing this incredible event he literally just witnessed. We're talking about a massive official assembly up in the heavens.
He paints this absolutely breathtaking picture, right? He talks about the celestial hall of Sudama, and it's just shimmering with this otherworldly light. And it's packed. All these divine beings, the ones they call the 33, are gathered there for a really important meeting.
And who's running the show? Well, you've got the four great kings. Think of them as these cosmic guardians, each one watching over their part of the universe from the four cardinal directions.
So the whole place is just buzzing. There's this palpable excitement in the air. And you want to know why? It's the newcomers. These are souls who were just recently followers of the Buddha back on Earth. They've been reborn as gods, and get this, they are shining so brightly, with so much glory, that they're actually outshining the gods who've been there forever.
I mean, you can just imagine the celebration, right? The gods are thrilled. They're shouting with joy because for them, this is proof. It's living proof that the Buddha's teachings are working, that they're literally lifting people up from the human world and bringing them into the divine realms.
But then, right in the middle of all this celebration, something incredible happens. The entire hall is just flooded with this blindingly brilliant light. I'm talking a light more powerful than anything they've ever seen. It's like a cosmic trumpet blast, announcing that someone even more supreme is on their way.
And this isn't just any old deity showing up. No, this is the great Brahmasanan Kumara. He himself has appeared before this assembly, and he's here to share some of his timeless wisdom.
What's really interesting, though, is how he appears. He doesn't show up as some scary, all-powerful god. Instead, he takes the form of an eternal youth. And in this gentle form, he starts to speak. And his words, well, they sound an awful lot like the Buddha's own teachings.
He kicks things off with a real core concept, the four establishments of mindfulness. If you want to understand the path, this is basically the ground floor, the essential framework you need to build the kind of insight that leads to real freedom.
And it's all about paying attention. It's about being mindfully aware of your body, of your feelings, the good and the bad as they rise and fall, of what's going on in your own mind, and ultimately of the fundamental principles of how things work. It's a total package kind of awareness.
Next up, Brahma talks about power. Not just any power, but real spiritual power. And he makes it clear this isn't something you're just given. It's something you have to develop. He lays out these four key qualities you need to cultivate to achieve some really extraordinary mental states.
So what are they? Well, it's about having a powerful intention, a real zeal for the path. Then you add tireless effort and energy. You combine that with a super focused will, a sharp consciousness. And finally, you use investigation or wisdom to see things clearly. These four things together, they're basically the engine that drives you forward.
Okay, so this whole story from the heavens is pretty mind-blowing, right? But it leaves you with a massive question. Why now? Why is this spirit telling the Buddha all of this at this specific moment? There has to be an earthly reason for this whole cosmic memo, doesn't there?
And to understand why, we actually have to rewind a little bit. See, the key to this whole thing lies with a worry that was really eating at the Buddha's closest attendant, a monk named Ananda.
Ananda had picked up on something that was, well, kind of weird. The Buddha would often declare the spiritual attainments of his followers who had passed away from different kingdoms. You know, he'd say so-and-so from Kosala achieved this state. But when it came to the followers from the kingdom of Magadha, just silence. Crickets.
And this silence was causing a lot of unease. I mean, Magadha was a big deal. It's where the Buddha actually became enlightened. It was home to so many of his very first followers.
So for their fates to go unannounced while others were celebrated, it just felt wrong. People were getting worried.
And Ananda was especially concerned about their beloved king Bimbisara. He thought, if the Buddha would just declare the king's amazing spiritual destiny, it would inspire everyone. It would calm all these fears and really boost the faith of the entire community.
And right there, that's the connection. That's where the heavenly report and the earthly worry snap together like puzzle pieces. The incredible story that Janavasabha, the spirit king, is telling, it contains the exact answer that Ananda and the Buddha were looking for.
So you see, this whole vision of the gods celebrating wasn't just some random piece of celestial gossip. No way. It was a cosmic confirmation. It was the universe providing a direct answer to that nagging, unspoken question about what happened to all those followers from Magadha.
And what an answer it was. It was absolutely staggering. Brahma himself, in his sermon to the gods, announced that over 240,000, let that sink in, 240,000 devotees from Magadha, including King Bimbisara, had become stream enterers. They had taken that first irreversible step towards full enlightenment.
It's just an amazing journey for a single piece of information, isn't it? Think about it. This message starts in the highest heavens with Brahma. It's overheard by King Vesavana, who tells the spirit Janavasabha. Janavasabha travels to earth to tell the Buddha. The Buddha then tells Ananda, and through the scriptures, that same message has traveled all the way down through the centuries to you and me right now.
So this incredible story really shows us something, doesn't it? That the deepest questions we have about our lives, our purpose, what happens next, these things echo. They echo from here on Earth all the way up into the cosmos and back again. That wisdom, that answer that traveled so far is now here for you. So the question is, what part of that message are you going to carry forward?